Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is suicide among African Americans. And we have with us to talk about suicide among African Americans, Dr. CPoe. Dr. Poe is a psychiatrist as well as a minister. And of course, Dr. Poe, let me welcome you to the show this morning.
Thank you. Very good to be here.
And to tell you, Dr. Poe, how delighted we are to have you. As a matter of fact, we've received so many compliments from the last show that you did with us dealing with crime and violence. And we felt that suicide is so close to violence. It might be a silent kind of violence that we wanted to talk to somebody about it. And of course, in almost every area, your name came up, and we wanted to bring you back in to talk about suicide among African Americans. But before we get into that, Dr. Poe, let's have you to talk about Dr. Poe himself, to give us some information about your background and some of the things that, in a real sense, certifies and qualifies you as the person to deal with some of the issues that you're dealing with this morning.
Thank you very much. Dr. Haney, I'm a psychiatrist and also a minister. Here in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm in private practice, and I work with primarily an elderly population. I guess it was about 2 years ago now that the Lord led me to form a group called the Committee for the Study of Violence and Health. And we went into the Metro Jail and did assessments of 25 inmates to see if we could gain a better understanding of why some people choose violence as a lifestyle. The unique thing about that research is that it involved a spiritual assessment along with a psychological, sociological, and psychiatric assessment. In addition, I've been involved in prison ministry, off and on for about the last 15 years. I've been involved with the Nashville Union Mission. I would call it a homeless ministry for about 15 years, and I've been a psychiatrist since 1970.
Very good. And of course, Dr. Poe, what we'd like to talk about this morning is suicide among African Americans. But before we get into suicide among African Americans, let's look at suicide as a general problem, because whether you're African American or whatever, it is a problem. And let's talk about suicide, and then later on we'll talk about the prevalence among African Americans. Let's talk about suicide.
Well, suicide is a big problem. As a matter of fact, you might be surprised that based on some statistics that was done in 1995, there were 22,000 murders recorded throughout the nation, but there were 31,000 suicides. And of course, suicides are usually underreported for obvious reasons, for insurance reasons, and also to avoid the shame that's often associated with the family member killing themselves. Then there are covert suicides. We know that some people precipitate their own death. And so persons who are on the receiving end of a homicidal attack sometimes have set themselves up to be killed, all right? We also know that some car accidents are covert suicides. So in terms of accurate statistics on just how big of a problem suicide is, we really don't know, but it's a very big problem in our nation.
Very big problem. And of course, when we look at suicide among the national population, what are some of the things that you can say about that as an issue?
Well, according to the National Center for Healthcare Statistics of the Department of Health and Human Services, about approximately 31,000 persons in the U.S. commit suicide every year. 31,000. Now, based on data that was obtained in 1997, 27,000 of those were Caucasians. About 3,000 of those were non-white. Of the 27,000 that were Caucasian, 22,000 were male Caucasian, and about 5,700 were female Caucasian. 1,748 were Afro-American males, and about 339 were Afro-American females. So the prevalence of suicide is very high among the Caucasian population and very high among the Caucasian male population. Yes. Now, considerably lower among Afro-Americans, but we are catching up. We are catching up. As a matter of fact, the incidence or the prevalence of the suicide rate among Afro-Americans has doubled, particularly in the 15 to 19-year-old age group in the last 20 years.
And of course,